Hi, I'm Rocket from Wreckless Blenders, and welcome to another Musings from Rocket's Cellar. In today's musing, I am going to talk a little bit about the Fiano label. I promised when I announced the new wine, the Fiano, white wine from Italy, that I'd give you an update on how the label's going. And I've made some pretty decent progress, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the label creation process and give you a couple of ideas about what goes on, and then a little bit of a preview of what the Fiano label is going to look like. So I started the Fiano label. Now, Fiano, Italian label, I started with a previous label that we made called the Dayglow Red. Now, Dayglow Red is our Ultra Tuscan, and if you're following any of that, there's the Super Tuscan, which is from Italy, which usually has Sangiovese and a Cabernet or in Merlot or other kind of French Bordeaux-style grapes. We go with an Ultra Tuscan because we put anything we want in there. Primarily Italian grapes, but we've also put in some Portuguese grapes like Touriga and others. So we said, all right, we're creating a whole new category called Ultra Tuscan. And so this is the label from the Dayglow Red. And there's another story behind this that I'll tell you in person, but I'm not going to tell you here, that some of you may know. So anyway, I started with this and I thought, well, I have this band theme set of labels that I've made over the years, and I've not applied them to specific wines yet. So you can see here there's a drummer. You know, that's a pretty cool label, you know, the drummer. It's interesting, but Fiano doesn't come across as kind of a drumming wine. So I thought, all right, we'll not do that one. I tried the piano, Fiano, and I thought, yeah, that's an interesting one, but it's a little too reductive. You know, it's just like too easy. So I said, nah, we're not going to do the piano. And then there's the saxophone. And so those are the three of these that I had. And I thought, well, you know, there's some goodness there because, you know, if you see the backgrounds, you know, that it can do some really interesting things there. And I got to a point where I said, I think if we do another Dayglow Red blend of some type in the future, then maybe I'll use it for that. And, you know, in our Dayglow, we have these kind of three tiers of blends. You know, our super high end is the Dayglow. I mean, and it primarily is because we're looking for something rich and just beautiful across the board. And then the next one down is the Wreckless Red, and down is relative because, you know, Wreckless Red is a frickin' fantastic drink right now. It is just mind-blowing. And oh, by the way, as I was going through my label creation process for the Fiano, I created this new Wreckless Red label, so something to look forward to in the future. I thought this was a pretty cool counterpoint to the mind-blown first one, so we'll see how that goes. And this is very much a rough draft right now, so maybe we'll have something more interesting in the future. So and then kind of the we'll call it the entry level blend is the breakfast blend, and we've only made a few of these over the years, and they tend to be, you know, very approachable, easy drinking, your essential varietals, not just for breakfast anymore kind of wines. So, you know, that's the lineup, and I think I'm going to stick the this kind of musical top end, and I'm going to stick with that over the whenever we make another Dayglow. So as I started thinking, this is about the Fiano, so let's come back to the Fiano. Now I've got a couple of interesting options here as we start to narrow down. There's story on the back label, which I will update you as I land on the final version of this. The story on the back label talks about the ancient Greeks as they invaded what we know now as Italy. And when they get there, there's all these grapes on the hillsides, and you know, they're Fiano grapes. There's these white wine grapes, and so these are very ancient grapes out there. And what I love about that is, the history, and, there's a little bit more behind that, and, how they rescued them and how they made sure they kept the stock alive over the years, and things like that. And so the story that Jim Brown tells on the back label talks about somebody who jumps in his chariot and rides to Rome and does some interesting things. And so I found this label, and it's got a very Italian, very bright color Italian feel to it. And if you zoom in here, you see that I added a little chariot into it. Again, this is very rough draft, so this is not how it would look in the end. And you notice I don't have a Fiano, I don't have the name on here either, because that is one of the biggest things to do when doing a label, is what font to approach. And you can see, if you look at our labels, I tend to find something that matches the grape. And so I haven't, for this particular label, because of how colorful it is, I would have to find a font that is as colorful and as bright and interesting as the Fiano grape is. So that's a next big step for this particular version of the label. I then found another handful of very interesting images that I've fallen in love with a little bit. And here is that version of the label. Now there's three main versions of this label, and the differences are a little subtle. So here's the first version. In the first version, you see the Fiano has this kind of rough edge feel to it. Kind of bold. The font is a little bit bolder, and it's kind of rough. Now, when I put this together, when I found that font, I realized that I was kind of paying homage to the Italian kind of vintage movies, the movie posters in particular. And so if you look through all those movie posters, you see that kind of bold, rough font on them. And a lot of them are hand-drawn and pretty cool. And I kind of went deep into this and just, what's that font? And what's this font? And it turns out a lot of them were hand-drawn and hand-placed, so there wasn't anything that I could lift and use. Excuse me, reuse. So I decided, well, I'll go with this one because it has something about it that, and you see the colors and how they kind of on top of each other. So I played with that a bit and tried to get it to feel nice. So that's a version that I'm thinking about. And then there's this version, which has a more elegant font to it. And I'm a big fan of this font. I've used it a number of times, and it really, it sings a bit. Now there's more to do here. So as you see this, it's a little, there's some contrast that needs to happen, some edge that needs to come out, needs to pop a little bit more. So I'm going to be working on that over the next while. And, as I get closer, I'll share with you the final version of the label. I might do one more update between now and then, because I really want you to see what I come up with for that really super colorful version, as well as what I come up with on I call it the watercolor scene, the Italian scene. And so we'll see how that goes. And I'm looking forward to seeing where this progresses. So this is sometimes this happens kind of late at night, after everyone's gone to bed, and I'm starting to feel a groove. I'll start throwing things together from the different places that I've stored art, and just come up with some interesting ideas. And so I'm thrilled to be able to share them with you. I hope you're doing well. Please take care of yourself. Take a moment, appreciate what you have. Get out, take care of yourself spiritually, mentally, physically, and it's very much worth it right now. We're going to get through this. With that, I am Rocket. This has been another Musings from Rocket Cellar.